Okay, I believe we have audio. Yeah, we do. Hi. Hi everyone. So, as I was just saying, I had a couple of ideas what I want to do, and so this is the future ideas. And I think today I want to do this. I realize that this is very, very complicated, so I'm not going to do that. I'm thinking about doing something like that, and also this as well. And I was thinking about doing something like this, but I realized that this is actually also already sort of like implied in the current design, so I don't really need to do this. So we are going to do three things, and I also want to show you, let me change the view, that I think what I said in the beginning is creating some sort of editor for this to edit the rules online instead of just editing the JSON here. It's going to be very complicated, and actually I started looking into that because I thought that that would be something which would be interesting to look into, especially because I'm sure this is not something that I can do with the normal dashboard, because it's not, it's not designed to be dynamic enough. So what I'm thinking, what I want to do is, there is this UI builder, which I wanted to learn a couple of times, but I think this is going to be just a perfect excuse to learn. And I'm collecting some of this information, so I started a new conversation on the Node-RED forum. And for this, I get some ideas of what I want to do, and there is a little bit of back and forth conversation on a couple of ideas that I could do. Yeah, there is more stuff here as well. And I think I have the basic understanding. So sorry, I was looking at this example, this no code example, which I think it's pretty good. It's sort of easy for me to understand what needs to be done here, and so this is what I want to do next. And what I have done so far is I asked ChatGPT to create me a simple website, because I wanted a skeleton HTML, which is going to be the root of this, and the CSS. So this is what it come up with. I mean, I had to go through a few iterations, but even the first version was pretty good. So the idea is that it's basically like a 2-column layout, and in the left column we have all the rules that we can just scroll through. And then when you select the rule, then the editor will come up on the left side, sorry, on the right side. So there is going to be a section for conditions and triggers, and you should be able to just edit all your steps and create new steps. And I think I will, start working on this one and try to do that. It's not going to be easy. I'm pretty sure about that, but based on what I understood from the UI builder, and then what I can do with some of the nodes, and of course there are a lot of different options in the UI builder how you can do stuff, but I think there is going to be a way which I will be able to manage. Okay, but before I do that, which could be, I'm thinking maybe I will start tomorrow, I'm not sure, or maybe over the weekend. But what I can do first is I wanted to add these small bits and pieces that I just mentioned, and yeah, so I think I'm going to work on those, because I want some of these features to be done. For example, I want to just reduce the amount of logs, because it is sort of working okay now, so I don't need the logs so much at the moment. And also, since the last live, I've been monitoring this, and I'm running with my sample rules. I had to make one small change, which I think it's around here. So what I did, yeah, so I had this function here which says, you know, if the state is not defined, then it's going to create a message as well. It's just going to evaluate that condition to true, and it's going to carry on. And I added a couple of additional messages which then refer to this non-existent state and data, and that was causing errors, and well, basically the execution of the function node just stopped. And I then realized that it's because of that. So I added this extra if statement here. So this piece of code only executes if there is a valid data or state available, because then, you know, I was referring to data.value and I was referring to the dot value of null variable. So that was giving me errors. But I found that, I fixed that, and actually the link which is in the video description now contains all these changes. So the first thing that I want to do is, actually let me start with the easiest one. So this storage context. And so at the moment, everything is stored in the default context. So pretty much what I want to store is the data cache. And I'm thinking maybe I should do the rules as well. Sorry, no, the data cache, definitely it's going to be memory only. I don't think that there is any point storing this in the file. But the rules, especially if I would have an editor, then we should really be setting these rules on the file system, and just not rely on a default set of rules which are injected using the inject node. So I think it's really the rules which we need to configure where we want to store it. And I just want to make a small test because what I'm not sure about is how Node-RED behaves if I specify the context as empty, whether it's going to just use the default context which is configured as default. So test one. Okay, so this is an option where I create a flow context, and then the storage context I'm leaving it as, yeah, the store. So I'm leaving it as empty. So let's assume that, you know, in the configuration you can configure it to empty. Okay, so if I do this and execute, and yeah, so it goes to the memory only. Okay, that's good. So what I want to do is I want to go into settings, and I can create my first setting, rule store, and for the time being I'm going to just leave it on default. Actually, let me just check, because I think according to, yeah, that's my problem. I thought you can do double slashes to leave comments in JSON, but it looks like you can't. Okay, that's not good. And I want to do log level as well. And let's just leave it at 6 at the moment. Okay, settings documentation. Okay, so for example, me, I have the storage context file defined in my settings.json. By the way, there is a very good document on this storage context node red. Yeah, so actually I'm using this method. So you can define, well, the default one, if you don't change anything, it's memory only. And I also created a file which saves the data in the file system. So actually I have this exact example in my settings.js. But I was just not sure if I can just use the empty or I have to spell out like default or memory only. Okay, I will do the log level later, but that's cool. So yeah, it already shows. Okay, so let's deploy and then deploy the settings and the context. Yeah, oh, we have settings. Okay, rule store and log level. Okay, and what I need to do is I read the settings, and if it's empty, then the settings is missing, and I think I probably need to set some defaults just in case the settings are missing some values, because otherwise it's just going to run into errors in the code. Set defaults. Okay. I'm not really sure if this is the best way of doing this, because now the code is going to run through this every single time a message comes through. But so if settings dot rule store undefined, let's assume that these are my default values. Okay. Rule store. So now, every time we read the rules, we should be able to select the rule store. So this is, and let's just look for this. Okay, rules. Actually, let me just do this. Obviously, we just read the rules once, because I was thinking that we are changing that, but no, we are not doing that. So, oh, okay, so that's even easier than I thought. Well, it's even quicker than I thought. Okay, so we just make sure that we read it from the correct store, and that should be it. And let me reset the logs. Let me just check. We wait for the first data, and we should see something up here. I mean, this timer is going to, okay, so it is working. I mean, it's not fading. Yeah, there are no errors. Okay, so that's good. So, done. So the next one is, maybe we can do this enable disable first, because that's also going to be easy. So the way I want to do this, I want to have a the name and then enabled. So I just want to have a new attribute. Simple as that. Okay, enabled. So everything is running now. Okay. Done. Oh, and inject. Okay, so now what I can do is, yeah, so we iterate through all this. And I think I'm not going to include the validation of the enabled here in this if statement or in the filter, but rather than just do it later on. So, okay, so we selected, whatever that we want to run. So that is happening here. Okay, I just want to make sure that I don't have any other code. So if yeah, if rule enabled, so if the rule is not enabled, which means that it doesn't exist, or if it's set to false, then I think we are just going to create a message. Let's just use a different color. I think we can use yellow. One A. Not E enabled. Okay. Let me do that. Yep, everything looks good. And actually I wanted to disable this rule anyway, because that was my date test rule that we used in the last time, and I just don't need it anymore because it just pings me every time at 3 o'clock. So I can execute that, reset and time, and date rule, test rule not enabled. Okay, wonderful, that's working. Wait. Oh, okay, I need a break. Date rule not enabled. Oh, sorry. No. Yeah, I was at the input. Okay, it's still doing that. So it's I can't use the break here. Date rule not enabled. The rule. Oops. Okay, something is not good here. Okay, let's do it proper. So if so if it's not enabled, then it's going to print this. Otherwise, it's just going to execute the whole lot. And oh, I just need to find out how. Okay, so I need execute actions, end of actions. Of course, I put this whole thing in the wrong place. Okay. So it doesn't go here, but because we are already in the actions. So that's the rule, checking rule. Okay. If rule is not enabled, and then we can break here because we are in the for group. So that should be working. So reset the logs, execute this one. Yep. Oh. It's not break, it's continue. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. So it is checking the rule is not enabled, and it's checking the next thing. Yeah, and it does the whole thing, and exit condition checking, and yep. Okay, wonderful. That's what I was after. To the next rule. Okay. So this one is done. Well, we just did the storage context. Did I put done? I think I put done before. I'm pretty sure I've done that. It's not here. I've done the settings documentation. Actually, let's do the rule documentation again as well. So rule header, and okay, let's add it. Yeah. Enabled and controls if the rule is executed. Yeah, executed or not. Okay, so with this we have the rule updated as well. Sorry, I meant the documentation updated as well. And now it is set to, this one is set to false. Okay, that's good. So let me just inject just to be on the safe side. And everything is working. So skipping works, that one works, and everything works. Okay, so now I want to do the the logging. So the idea is that I have this log level, which is set to 6, and then I should control, so I'm going to assign a level for each of the logs, and that will control whether that logs shows up in the status, and also whether it goes to the, you know, this logging thing here, which saves everything. So it's going to work like this. So if the log level is 0, so that's going to be critical messages. One is going to be high priority messages. I'm not sure if I'm going to use all of these. Medium, pre, oh. Okay, critical messages, maybe error messages, warning messages. 3 is going to be so if, for example, the log level is set to 3, the system will show messages in priority 0 to 3. Okay, critical error warning information debug. So really we should only go to 4. So it only makes sense to go to 4 according to this. Okay. And I want to create a new function here. Add message. And so it will have a priority. It will have a level and the message itself. Okay. Okay, so if why we have 2 tabs? Okay, so if the priority is higher or equal to the log level, can we use this? Oh, sorry, no, lower or equal. Then we are going to log the message, otherwise we are just going to ignore it. So, and we just put it into node.status. Okay, so we put it into the node.status, and otherwise we don't do anything. It just gets omitted. Okay, so settings dot, so if a missing setting is critical, so add message. And I should be putting the log level here, but we just don't have it in the code yet. But regardless, I mean, it's critical, it's always going to be shown, so I'm just going to push 0.0. So then, so this is a priority 0 message, and the log level is going to be 0 because it's either 0 or any higher number. So if the priority is equal to the log level, so it's going to be shown, and if it would be less, which 0 never less than 0, then it's also going to be shown. And we just push the same information into the node.status, and if it shows up in the node.status, then the logging flow is going to pick this up. Okay, so I think I need to copy and paste this, and then just go and see if we have any of the node.status in the rest of the code, and just replace it. So okay, it's nothing here. Data cache, okay, oh, so it's here. So node.status equals, and then so this is settings.log level, because at this point we have this information because settings.log level is defined up here. Oh, and input type message.topic. So this is really a debug message. Let me just check again. Yeah, debug. So that's a debug message. Okay, carry on, and we have another candidate here, and okay, and now I'm going to copy this. Oops, sorry, yeah, that's 4, and this is checking rule name. That's a debug message, and now we have, and I think that's going to be an information message that we skipped something because it's not enabled. Okay. Yep. And carrying on. Add message. So we have another node.status, which is just a debug that it's evaluating the rule. And that's a 4 because it's checking the condition. Checking the condition, tick, yeah. And now we have an error. So that's number 1 because the format is incorrect. And we also have an error here because the format is incorrect. Okay. And we don't have anything here, so this is data is missing, evaluating it to true. I think that has to be an information because when the system starts up, usually these conditions are, or the statuses are do not exist, and that's normal. Okay, status.node here, unknown condition trigger. Okay, that's an error. I guess we can argue whether it's okay, it's an error. It's not critical because it will allow the rest of the things to run. And we have another debug message because that just shows the conditions. Okay, and then we have debug message that the conditions are evaluated. Because again, this is just the information on the normal operation, and we have a bunch of these for all of the different condition types, right? Yep. Yeah, Notary is going to go through this quite a lot. And unknown condition operator, that's an error. Yep. And exit condition checking, that's just normal stuff. And this one is condition result, that's just debug information. I mean, most of it is going to be just debug information. And this is gone as well. I'm just looking at the chat from time to time. Yep. Okay, so we have some data cache here, and then we have, I fill this thing up with so many messages that I'm having to replace all of these. Unknown action type. Yeah, I set it to 1. So that's an error. And that's it. By the way, I don't need this here. Ooh, and no errors. And let's just check. So now, yeah, everything runs because I have it set to a normal status. So if I set it to, actually, let me just set it to 3. So I don't want any of the debug messages anymore. So inject settings, delete the logs, execute this, and yeah, we just only have this one where it says that the date rule is not enabled, which is information, so it comes through as a different thingy-abob. Actually, let me well, first of all, node the status. Do we have any more node? No, we don't. Add message, and one is red. Okay, at least we are being consistent. Do we have any 2s? What is the 2? Warning. And that's information. Green. Actually, let me just do one more thing where it says which one got executed. So it's not enabled, and if data, okay, let me mute my phone. Okay, settings, if data is not defined, yeah, it's doing that. Check if breakout, exit condition checking. Yeah, maybe I can add something more here. So so maybe I'm just going to set this to information. Or even better, if past else so if something failed, it's just a debug message, but if it's executed, then it becomes a green message. So it gets logged in a different way. So at least I can have these shown, but not when something doesn't execute, which I guess it will happen most of the time. And yeah, and these can be just debug messages. Okay. And yeah, now I have a bunch of these rule not executed or rule not enabled messages. Oh, I think that's good. Yeah, and it would just keep popping up. But I mean, I can reduce the class of this message if I want to, so it's not showing up as not showing up so much. But at least I can think I can play around with the numbers here, and also the big, the log level setting as well. But that's what I wanted, because I don't think I will be. I think, I will keep focusing on the on the editor next time and not so much on new functionality. I mean, this is a nice functionality, but I realized that that's going to be very complicated to do, and that would create so many changes to the existing code, some sort of loop back, and keeping the context. I mean, that's very complicated. And actually, I wanted to do one more thing. So because I was updating the UI builder, I had to restart the system, and now the soil moisture is a fairly low number, but then I have the rule which says if it's above 40, then it says that the plants are watered. So it's not setting the status, because it is a high number but not a high enough number. So I thought, and I'm getting these notifications every single day, so actually I want to edit this rule. I want to change the threshold. So it's not the washing, not this one, not that one, not this one. Dry reminder, no. This is the plant's water, so I think I actually want to set it to 11. So now it will be evaluated to true next time it runs, which I don't know when it's going to happen, because this soil sensor is only queried every 15 minutes, but at least it is supposed to run by the time, well, basically next time tomorrow, when I have this rule which runs at 7 p.m. every day. So I'm expecting the plant watered, or whatever the name of the state is, to say that it's watered. So it's all going to send me the reminders every time. Maybe or or actually I think what I should do, so I have this one which checks whether the plants are dry. So it says that if the plants are watered and the soil moisture is less than 10. So maybe I should add this to the because the reminder just says that if it's 9 o'clock, the plants are dry, which it's not dry at the moment. So this one evaluates to true, but then it will still check if the soil moisture is less than 10. So actually, let me reset this to, I think it was 30. So that should work as well. So again, I always have to think about, like, okay, because if the state doesn't exist, I evaluate this to, I evaluate the condition to true. So I let it to basically evaluate and go through in certain states. But then I also have to think that, what if I just restarted the computer or restarted Node-RED, so it's not evaluated yet. So some of these are not going to run, or, in some other rules, I implied some value which doesn't exist yet. But that should take care of it. So now the reminder is also checking whether it's indeed dry, which is here, yeah. So it still checks that yes, the state is dry, and the value is also less than 10. Actually, I think the reason I didn't do this, because so the reason I didn't do this, because if I would leave everything like this, then the reminder runs, and then the normal this trigger runs as well. But now if I run the normal trigger at 9 o'clock, so it's going to set the state to dry. Oh, then this other thing is still going to run. Okay, back to the previous solution. I mean, that's still going. The reason I set it to a high number, because I want to make sure that the plant has gets enough water. So it's like, it's like from 9 it doesn't go to just 12, but it goes to like the moisture goes up to like 30 or 40 or something like that. And when I water this plant, I make sure that I put enough water just around the sensor so it indeed gets wet. But anyway, let me just try doing this. I just eliminate getting two reminders at the same time when the plants get dry. But yeah, that should do it. Okay, so done. Rules are executed, the settings are set, the rule documentation is updated with the enabled, the settings documentation is updated, and I just need to maintain the version history. So this is going to be version 1.2. What is it called? Context storage. Enable, disable, flag for rules. Yep. Yeah, good enough. And then what I usually do at this point is I export the current flow and download, and then it puts it into my download folder, and yeah, it's called the automation engine. Okay, and now I can refresh it here. So actually I'm going to do this now, because last time it took like 2 weeks for me to upload the new version, because I wanted to make sure that it works, but I think the what we have done now is less invasive. Good. So this newest updated version is now available on the wiki, and I think I put the video description. I put the link in the video description. Okay, so that should do it. And as I said in the beginning of the video, I think the next segment is going to be UI Builder. So we build a website, we'll build a page which will allow me to edit these rules completely on the UI. So I want to do the full functionality when I can just create, delete, make all the changes, and of course the UI is going to be dynamically built based on, you know, what you have in the conditions or what you have in the actions, and it would just, you know, support everything. It's not going to be easy. I think what I would like to get to at the first case is just to have this left side shown so I can see all my rules, and I should be able to, you know, click and maybe have something basic information updated here, which is like the name of the rule which is being edited, and maybe a couple of buttons here and there where I can just create something or edit. But yeah, that should be it. But I think that would be all for today. We started with a few people, we ended with a few less people, but okay, that was quick. How much we did? 50 minutes. I think that's a good chunk of time. The changes were not really complicated, so I think it was easy to done, but hopefully there are sufficiently meaningful changes just to make this a little bit easier to use. But I guess that would be all for today. Thanks for watching, and yeah, see you in the next video.